New England is transformed when the winter snow falls. Many campgrounds close up, but not all of them. I spent a couple of nights in the White Mountain National Forest of New Hampshire and ended up testing my new Freedom Camper in the extreme. I'll take a ride along the beautiful scenic mountain pass and visit one of the busiest ski areas in the Northeast. In this week's episode of Campgrounds with the Yankee Camper, Hancock Campground. Measuring over 750,000 acres, as well as being the largest federally owned tract of land in the Northeast, the White Mountain National Forest is located in the upper portion of New Hampshire and a bit of western Maine. The forest contains 23 developed campgrounds. However, only 2 are open in the winter. Barnesfield, which I stayed in the spring of 2025, and Hancock. I'd been itching to do a winter shakedown of my new Freedom Camper, but didn't expect to spend one of the coldest nights of the season in it. Nevertheless, it performed admirably. Hancock Campground is located in the southwest corner of the forest, with easy access from Route 93 at exit 32 to Lincoln. It's along New Hampshire Route 112, but most people know it as the Kancamagus Highway, which I'll tell you about shortly. The campground offers 56 rustic campsites, with 35 of them suitable for RVs, a couple of which are pull-through. Each site has a fire ring and a picnic table. The campsites are plowed, although the picnic tables are not cleared of snow. I brought a shovel that made quick work of that task. As mentioned, these are rustic sites with no hookups. The campground's divided into 2 areas. The tenting-only area has a large parking lot with walk-in access to the 21 sites. The price is $30 per night and is first come, first serve in the off-season. From mid-May through Columbus Day, it's possible to reserve a campsite as much as 6 months in advance, but approximately half the sites remain first come, first serve. Be aware that the only way to pay with a credit card is to book in advance. Paying on-site will require a check or cash to be placed in the Iron Ranger. Pets are allowed, but be sure to check out the campground requirements regarding any restrictions. I'll cover the amenities, which are few, in a moment, but be aware that this is a very popular campground. The location is ideal for access to a number of trails in the lower part of the White Mountain National Forest. It's also a great way to explore and take advantage of the offerings at Loon Mountain, just 5 minutes away, which I'll also cover later in this video. But first, let me tell you about the picturesque roadway out the front door. The Hancock Campground is located on the western end of the 34.5-mile scenic byway that stretches from Lincoln to Conway. Aside from the beautiful scenery along the route, it may be most famous for being mispronounced, which I will attempt not to do. The proper way is Kancamagus, but I apologize if I slip into an occasional Kancamagus during this video. Old habits, you know. Although the road cuts through the southern end of the Pemigewasset area, running along the Swift River for quite a stretch, and eventually feeds into the Saco as a tributary, the western end of the road, as well as the campground, is situated along the Pemigewasset River. This river runs southerly out of the White Mountains and joins the Winnipesaukee River, which becomes the mighty Merrimack, running from Concord all the way down to Salisbury, Massachusetts. The roadway is named for the grandson of the great sachem Passaconaway, who formed the Pennacook Confederacy sometime around 1640. Kancamagus was the third and last chief of this group until around 1690, when they permanently settled in Quebec under the protection of the French. This is a fascinating history, and if you'd like me to share it on a separate video, let me know in the comments. Originally, it was two separate logging roads, but the federal government sought to connect the two using labor by the Civilian Conservation Corps in the 1930s. The work was interrupted by World War II and wasn't finally completed until 1959 as a dirt road. The popularity as a recreational access way led it to be paved some 5 years later, although it would be another 4 years, 1968, before it was plowed during the winter months. In 1996, it was officially designated a National Scenic Byway. Starting from the town of Lincoln on the western end, the roadway passes the Loon Mountain ski area on the right and begins an ascent past the warning sign, "There's no gas" for the next 32 miles, and the entrance to the campground. The pavement is lined with birch trees, both sugar and red maples, along with evergreens such as spruce, fir, and hemlock. You'll soon pass over the east branch of the Kancamagus River, where the Lincoln Wood Trailhead is. As you continue to climb, Otter Rock's picnic area will be on your right. This is the Hancock branch of the Kancamagus River and allows shallow pool swimming in the summer and is very scenic in the winter. As you continue your ascent, you'll encounter a hairpin turn and begin to catch glimpses of the southern mountains, including Mount Osceola and Mount Kancamagus. Although you continue to climb, this is only a pass and flanks the actual mountain. Soon you'll be getting spectacular views on all sides of the vehicle, and it won't be long before you reach the highest point at 2,855 feet. Shortly after you begin the descent toward Conway, a scenic overlook will be on your left. I turned around before completing the trek all the way to the end. The sun was getting low and I wanted to stop at the C.L. Graham wagon overlook that I had passed near the highest point. So I returned in the opposite direction. Here I was rewarded with a breathtaking view of the northern mountain range. Driving back to the campground, I stopped at the panoramic overlook to catch the sun as it began to set in the west. This is a popular drive and can get very busy in the warmer months, with around 800,000 vehicles traversing the scenic byway each year. Also, you should know that this roadway is utilized by commercial vehicles, including tractor-trailers who will take their time coming down from the highest point of the pass. And speaking of passes, there's a $5 pass required for parking at many of the trailheads along Route 112. These can be purchased online at many of the locations requiring them and the visitor centers. Note that interagency passes, such as the America the Beautiful Pass, are also accepted. Now you know. Let's head back to the campground where I'll tell you about the amenities. But first, I hope you're enjoying this video and thank you for watching. I put these out so that I can share my experience camping and some of the great things about New England. I don't get any compensation for this. I do this for you. What you could do for me is you could buy me a cup of coffee. Doesn't need to be very much. Just a couple of dollars. Helps keep the channel running. Thank you for watching. Now, let's get back to the video. I'll be blunt, amenities are not the high point of Hancock's offerings. While there are flush toilets available in the RV loop during the warmer weather, these were closed down and replaced with porta-johns for the winter. There were a couple of vault toilets as well near the tent-only area and at the far end of the loop. These, however, were clean and well supplied, but could stand a bit of freshening up. Be aware there is no shower facility offered here, no matter what the season. I saw a freshwater spigot near the registration area for the walk-in tent sites, and there was a large hand pump near where I camped. I tested it, and it worked well, but I didn't use it for supply. Note, this is not designated for washing. The map indicates another spigot between sites 29 and 30 in the RV loop, but I believe it was buried under the snow. There are dumpsters distributed throughout the campground with creature-proof locks, which I didn't get a photo of, but I wish I had. The website states that firewood is available from the campground host, which may be true in the summer months, but not so in the winter. I picked mine up in Lincoln, although my fire was small and relatively ineffective against the frigid cold. I'd considered building it up to throw enough warmth, but being by myself, I opted to smother the fire and retire early. RVers should be aware that there's no dump station that I'm aware of. I saw on some websites that there may be near the entrance, but I didn't see anything at that location. And the one in the town closes in the fall. That's it. Other than maybe swimming in the river in the summer, this is basic camping. But the price is not outrageous, and it's close to outdoor activities, including skiing at Loon Mountain. Sherman Adams was not a man to wait for things to occur. He made them happen. After college and a stint with the Marines during World War I, he went into the lumbering business in Vermont, then moved to Lincoln, New Hampshire, where he combined lumbering with paper manufacturing, creating a very successful business. As war raged in Europe and the Pacific, Adams entered politics as a member of the New Hampshire House of Representatives from 1941 to 1944. Then, for one term as a member of the U.S. House of Representatives from 1945 to 47. He next ran for and won the position of New Hampshire governor in 1948, which he held for 2 terms. Next, he secured the position of Chief of Staff for President Eisenhower, which he held until 1958, and is considered the first person to hold the position as it's thought of today. As one of the most powerful men in D.C., he became the target of scrutiny and was forced to admit that he had accepted expensive gifts from a Boston textile manufacturer. It's unclear if there was any actual wrongdoing, but Adams was forced to step down under the shadow of impropriety and embarrassment to the administration. When he returned to his town of Lincoln, he discovered the region was suffering from federal regulations overseeing the lumbering industry. With the opening of the Kancamagus Highway, tourism had begun to flourish in the summer. Being an avid outdoorsman, Sherman snowshoed up Loon Mountain and saw the potential to attract skiers in the winter as well. Construction on the mountain ski area began in the spring of 1966, and by the first snowfall of that year, the area was opened to downhill enthusiasts, around 500 of them. The ski area continues to expand and now offers 14 lifts, including high-speed quads and a gondola that services 73 trails from 3 peaks. The day I was there, the area was bustling with skiers and snowboarders, with many making use of the lodge at the base. There's a number of places to stay right on the mountain where you can ski out the door and then return at the end of the day. There's also several places to relax after an invigorating day on the slopes. The resort has also expanded operations to include warmer weather recreation, such as mountain biking, zip lining, and disc golf. The gondola runs during the warmer season as well, and includes entry to the glacial caves. Loon Mountain's easy access from the highway, fastidious attention to grooming, and many services consistently make it one of New England's top-tier ski areas. Now you know. Before we talk about what else there is to do from Hancock Campground, let me tell you about the annual event Loon Mountain hosts in the fall. The official end of summer around here is still Labor Day, although I never wear white shoes anyway. As September rolls along, there's still the occasional day in the 70s or even higher, and New Hampshire braces for the onslaught of leaf peepers. In 1975, as the nation was getting ready to recognize its 200th birthday, a small group of people decided to have a picnic at Loon Mountain to celebrate their Scottish heritage. 50 years later, that gathering has blossomed into a 3-day event that attracts around 35,000 people. Held during the third weekend of September, before the foliage really pops, the New Hampshire Highland Games and Festival celebrates all things from Scotland, including games and competitions, some dating back to the 11th century. Tourists flock to explore their genealogies, experience genuine foods, dance, and, of course, the pipes and drums. There's also special events such as a whiskey masterclass, beer and ale pairings, and a focus on Cape Breton Island in Canada. Of course, that's only one weekend per year. What's there to do in the area the other 51 weeks? Well, to get those answers, I recommend visiting the White Mountain Visitor Center in Lincoln. Rangers are on hand to help guide you with what's open, where to hike, and what attractions are available. On one side, there's maps and pamphlets available, as well as a restroom. There's also a life-size brown bear, albeit more reminiscent of F.A.O. Schwartz than anything in the woods. You'll also find a 3D topographical map, but it would seem that I wasn't the only one who couldn't get a decent photo of it. On the opposite side is a display area outlining some of the region's history from logging to tourism and preservation. Located just after you exit the highway, this is a great place to start if you're just trying to get your bearings. I hope you've enjoyed learning about the Hancock Campground along the Kancamagus Highway in Lincoln, New Hampshire. If you got something out of this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. It lets YouTube know you're interested in what I'm doing. Would you like more videos like this, as well as the ones I create on cooking in a mess kit in my Making a Mess series and other gear that I use? Please consider subscribing. If you have anything you'd like to share, feel free to reach out in the comments section. I try to respond to every posting. I hope I'll see you again next week, and until then, get outside. And thank you for watching.